All right. I'm going to begin where we left off yesterday, and they were talking about um, her sisters and how they faded away. And she said, "I alone have survived, but at a price, such a price." I wasn't sure what she meant, but I felt bad for her. My eyelids kept getting heavier, my full stomach making me so sleepy. Poor old lady. Who would want to hurt somebody so nice? Percy! Annabeth was shaking me to get my attention. Maybe we should go. I mean, the ringmaster will be waiting. She sounded tense. I wasn't sure why. Grover was eating the wax paper off the tray now, but if Auntie Em found that strange, she didn't say anything. Such beautiful gray eyes, Auntie Em told Annabeth again. My, yes, it has been a long time since I have seen gray eyes like those. She reached out as if to stroke Annabeth's cheek, but Annabeth stood up abruptly. We really should go. Yes, Grover swallowed his wax paper and stood up. The ringmaster is waiting. Right. I didn't want to leave. I felt full and content. Auntie Em was so nice. I wanted to stay with her a while. Please, dears, Auntie Em pleaded. I so rarely get to be with children. Before you go, won't you at least sit for a pose? A pose? Annabeth asked warily. A photograph. I will use it to model a new statue set. Children are so popular, you see. Everyone loves children. Annabeth shifted her weight from foot to foot. I don't think we can, ma'am. Come on, Percy. Sure we can, I said. I was irritated with Annabeth for being so bossy and so rude to an old lady who had just fed us for free. It's just a photo, Annabeth. What's the harm? Yes, Annabeth, the woman purred. No harm. I could tell Annabeth didn't like it, but she allowed Auntie Em to lead us back out the front door into the garden of statues. Auntie Em directed us to a park bench next to a stone satyr. Now, she said, I'll just position you correctly. The young girl in the middle, I think, and the two young gentlemen on either side. Not much light for a photo, I remarked. Oh, enough, Auntie Em said. Enough for us to see each other, yes? Where's your camera? Grover asked. Auntie Em stepped back as if to admire the shot. Now, the face is the most difficult. Can you smile for me, please, everyone? A large smile? Grover glanced at the cement satyr next to him and mumbled, That sure does look like Uncle Ferdinand. Grover, Auntie Em chastised. This way, dear. Look this way. She still had no camera in her hands. Percy? Annabeth said. Some instinct warned me to listen to Annabeth, but I was fighting the sleepy feeling, the comfortable lull that came from the food and the old lady's voice. I will just be a moment, Auntie Em said. You know, I can't see you very well in this cursed veil. Percy, something's wrong, Annabeth insisted. Wrong, Auntie Em said, reaching up to undo the wrap around her head. Not at all, dear. I have such noble company tonight. What could be wrong? That is Uncle Ferdinand, Grover gasped. Look away from her, Annabeth shouted. She whipped her Yankees cap onto her head and vanished. Her invisible hands pushed Grover and me both off the bench. I was on the ground, looking at Auntie Em's sandaled feet. I could hear Grover scrambling off in one direction and Annabeth in the other, but I was too dazed to even move. I was on the ground, looking at Auntie Em's sandaled feet. Oh, whoops. Then I heard a strange rasping sound above me. My eyes rose to Auntie Em's hands, which had turned gnarled and warty with sharp bronze talons for fingernails. I almost looked higher, but somewhere off to my left, Annabeth screamed, No, don't! More rasping, the sound of tiny snakes right above me from about where Auntie Em's head would be. Run! Grover bleated. I heard him racing across the gravel, yelling, Maya! to kickstart his flying sneakers. I couldn't move. I stared at Auntie Em's gnarled claws, and I tried to fight this groggy trance the old woman had put me in. Such a pity to destroy a handsome young face, she told me soothingly. Stay with me, Percy. All you have to do is look up. I fought the urge to obey. Instead, I looked to one side, and I saw one of those glass spheres people put in gardens, a gazing ball. I could see Auntie Em's dark reflection in the orange glass. Her headdress was gone, revealing her face as a shimmering pale circle. Her hair was moving, writhing like serpents. Auntie Em. Auntie Em. How could I have been so stupid? Think, I told myself. How did Medusa die in the myths? But I couldn't think. Something told me that in the myth, Medusa had been asleep when she was attacked by my namesake, Perseus. She wasn't anywhere near asleep now. If she wanted, she could take those talons right now and rake open my face. The gray-eyed one did this to me, Percy, she said, and she didn't sound anything like a monster. Her voice invited me to look up, to sympathize with a poor old grandmother. Annabeth's mother, the cursed Athena, sorry, technical difficulties, kids, turned me from a beautiful woman into this. Don't listen to her, Annabeth's voice shouted somewhere in the statuary. Run, Percy! Silence, Medusa snarled. Then her voice modulated again back to a comforting purr. You see why I must destroy the girl, Percy. She is my enemy's daughter. I shall crush her statue to dust. But you, dear Percy, you need not suffer. No, I muttered. I tried to make my legs move. Do you really want to help the gods? Medusa asked. Do you understand what awaits you on this foolish quest, Percy? What will happen if you reach the underworld? Do not be a pawn of the Olympians, my dear. You would be better off as a statue. Less pain. Less pain. Percy! Behind me, I heard a buzzing sound, like a 200-pound hummingbird in a nosedive. Grover yelled, Duck! I turned, and there he was in the night sky, flying from 12 o'clock with his winged shoes fluttering. Grover holding a tree branch the size of a baseball bat. His eyes were shut tight, and his head twitched from side to side. He was navigating by ears and nose alone. Duck! He yelled again. I'll get her! That finally jolted me into action. Knowing Grover, I was sure he'd miss Medusa and nail me. I dove to one side. Thwack! At first, I figured it was the sound of Grover hitting a tree. Then Medusa roared with rage. You miserable satyr! She snarled. I'll add you to my collection. That was for Uncle Ferdinand, Grover yelled back. I scrambled away and I hid in the statuary while Grover swooped down for another pass. Kerthwack! Ah! Medusa yelled, her snake hair hissing and splitting. Right next to me, Annabeth's voice said, Percy? I jumped so high my feet nearly cleared a garden gnome. Geez, don't do that. Annabeth took off her Yankees cap and became visible. You have to cut her head off. What? Are you crazy? Let's just get out of here. Medusa is a menace. She's evil. I'd kill her myself, but... Annabeth swallowed, as if she were about to make a difficult admission. But you've got the better weapon. Besides, I'd never get close to her. She'd slice me to bits because of my mother. You've got a chance. What? I can't. Look, do you want her turning more innocent people into statues? She pointed to a pair of statue lovers, a man and a woman with their arms around each other, turned to stone by the monster. Annabeth grabbed the green gazing ball from a nearby pedestal. A polished shield would be better, she studied the sphere critically. The convexity will cause some distortion. The reflection size should be off by a factor of... Can you just speak English? I am! She tossed me the glass ball. Just look at her in the glass. Never look at her directly. Hey guys, Grover yelled somewhere above us. I think she's unconscious. Roar! Maybe not, Grover corrected. He went in for another pass with the tree branch. Hurry, Annabeth told me. Grover's got a great nose, but he'll eventually crash. I took out my pen and uncapped it. The bronze blade of riptide elongated in my hand. I followed the hissing and spitting sounds of Medusa's hair. I kept my eyes locked on the gazing ball so I would only glimpse Medusa's reflection and not the real thing. Then, in green-tinted glass, I saw her. Grover was coming in for another turn at bat, but this time he flew a little too low. Medusa grabbed the stick and pulled him off course. He tumbled through the air and crashed into the arms of a stone grizzly bear with a painful ugh. Medusa was about to lunge at him when I yelled, Hey! I advanced on her, which wasn't easy, holding a sword and a glass ball. If she charged, I'd have a hard time defending myself. But she let me approach. 20 feet, 10 feet. I could see the reflection of her face now. Surely it wasn't really that ugly. Green swirls of the gazing ball must be distorting it, making it look even worse. You wouldn't harm an old woman, Percy, she crooned. I know you wouldn't. I hesitated, fascinated by the face I saw reflected in the glass, the eyes that seemed to burn straight into the green tint, making my arms go weak. From the cement grizzly, Grover moaned, Percy, don't listen to her. Medusa cackled. Too late. She lunged at me with her talons. I slashed up with my sword, hearing a sickening schlock. Then a hiss like wind rushing out of a cavern, the sound of a monster disintegrating. Something fell to the ground next to my foot. It took all my willpower to not look at it. I could feel warm ooze soaking into my sock, little dying snakeheads tugging at my shoelaces. Oh, yuck, Grover said. His eyes were still tightly closed, but I guess he could hear the thing gurgling and steaming. Mega yuck. All right, that's probably a good stopping point for today. I hope you're enjoying this, and it's kind of fun to have Medusa show up in our read aloud and then also in the packets that we were doing. All right, have a good day.